here with the Social Impact Level Up Live. Today, your job is to sit back, listen, and have some fun, and maybe take a few minutes to relax, because we're going to have an amazing conversation today to turn your ideas into a legacy of social change. Hey everyone, it's me, Wendy V. We are here live on a bunch of places: YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I am trying the new Instagram and StreamYard feature. So if this looks weird because it's not in the vertical normal Instagram orientation and it looks tiny, I already apologize. But it's good to see you. I see there's a couple people here joining on Instagram, so good to see you all. And today we're talking about Ready, Fire, Aim. This is how you take action. And I got this from one of my podcast guests this season. His name is Ian Westmoreland, and his episode aired about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we were talking about how he became a serial social entrepreneur. So if you guys don't know me, most of you know me, but if you don't know me, I'm Wendy Velos. I am a coach for social entrepreneurs, people who are trying to make a difference in the world, change the world, do all these cool, amazing things, and also just be, good humans, give back to their businesses and give back to their nonprofits. And it's good to see that there's some folks joining us on other places too. I want to quickly say, hey, Gabe, good to see you on Team Go Live. Exactly. So, when I thought about doing this live, I wanted to bring people some thoughts around what Ian said, because I think it was a really profound message. And we are in the middle of this week getting ready for an accelerator that I run every year, a couple times a year. And this is going to be one of the times that I, give people a super big secret that I share with a lot of my coaching clients called idea surgery. So Ian was talking about how he takes action. And this is one of the things I teach my clients on how to take action, is to use idea surgery as a process. And so when Ian was talking about how he started a nonprofit, and oh yeah, my dog is going to join us. You can see all in my house today, guys. The thing that he talked about was starting a group called Mentoring Men in Australia, and how he decided to become a serial sort of volunteer. And he spent a lot of his time just going through the process of learning about, how do you help others? How do you show up and, do a mission? Or what are you really doing with your mission? And it's really cool because I feel like Ian had some great advice, and Ready, Aim, Fire was his advice, which was, hey, come in and do what you're going to do, get ready and do the action, and then worry about what exactly the details are after. Because if you're trying to take action, you really want to get to the action. You need to just start moving forward. You need to get momentum. And if you stop and worry about, aiming and knowing exactly where you're going or all of the details, then you might actually, miss an opportunity, or you might not be able to really. I love that my dog is just like hanging out. Yeah, she's just chilling. And so it's really kind of like, when you want to take action, if you wait too long, you miss a good opportunity. You may not actually take action. So I'm excited here to see Alan and Stephanie and Norman, and I think Teresa joined us on Instagram. Good to see you guys. I know Gabe and Ruby are here on LinkedIn. If anyone's here on we're on YouTube. Also, leave a comment. And I want to hear what you guys think about this. Has there been a time when you wanted to take action and you waited too long to actually move forward? And I can give you an example. With my business, I waited about 2 years to go out on my own full time as an entrepreneur. And I probably wouldn't have done it, to be honest, if I hadn't lost my job. And when I lost my job, I finally realized that my value was being diminished by the opportunities that I thought I had to seek for employment, and that there probably was something completely different that I could have been doing with my life that was much more purposeful or meaningful, or that gave people access to my talents in a way that currently, you can't access them, because I was working for government organizations. And so that's why now when I teach this idea surgery process, it's a process that I used to use with my teams in the government to create grants, to create new programs, to create anything that I did, because it works. And I teach it to people so that when you are worried about, well, okay, do I need to just take action right now? You don't have to worry about the aim part. You don't have to worry about what exactly am I going to do? Because you already have it laid out for you. You just have to choose the best option. And choosing the best option is much better than having too many options or not knowing at all what your options are. So, what the process includes and what I teach is a series of activities that you do in a sequence. And they're pretty basic activities. A lot of us know what they are already, mind mapping, prioritizing different things like that, SMART goals. But I've packaged them into this process called idea surgery so that yeah, I love this. It's great, coaching program. Yeah, I love it. And, the reason why I think all these things are powerful tools when you combine them together is because people don't know what their vision is a lot of the time. And, when you don't know what your vision is, and yeah, if you wait too long, it can cost you. But also, if you don't know what your vision is and you're trying to get something done and you're confused about where you're going, you're never gonna know the steps to get there. So, what the process teaches is how do you take all of the bigger chunks of what's in your brain and put it into smaller compartments that you can work with. And excuse me, and I think that as I've seen people go through this process over and over again, whether it's one-on-one or in a group, I've noticed that people take a lot of action right away, but they have to be consistent and they have to be, disciplined with continuing to take action in the future. Because even if you get a lot of momentum, you go to a workshop, like Gabe said, he's like, you go to a live stream coaching program, and everybody has a coaching program, and you get what you can get, and then you do this stuff for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden, you fall off with it and you don't actually continue to do it. And so I think that one of the benefits of going through this strategic planning process is you can then, identify what are the priorities for now, what are the priorities for later, and have a way to systematically bring in new things into your goals that you want to accomplish. And then, of course, as you crush them, as you go forward, you're able to, check things off your list and get closer to your bigger vision. So I want to talk about this concept that Gabe put into the chat. Waiting too long can cost you. I think people don't realize how waiting long can cost you. When I go back to thinking about, starting a business, by the time I took action and actually started the business, I probably could have been working on, parts of a business or working towards that goal for about 3 years before that point, and if I had done that, I would have had a lot more clients, a lot more, visibility, maybe more presence online, all kinds of other things that I would have incurred over those 3 years, and those years would have been over the pandemic, which we all know was really big for a lot of people growing online. And so what it cost me by the time I waited until I lost my job to really start my business, by the time I waited, I had to catch up creating a whole online presence for my business, creating a whole brand, doing all of those things. And, all of that stuff could have been time that I had spent, really working on building a client base or building a group of people who were going to be in my community and then ultimately become my clients. So there's always a trade-off. Some people are giving up time with their family, people are giving up time, working on themselves, traveling, education, like all these other things. And when you have a goal and you're trying to, like, get to it, sometimes, you just have to find space in your life to do the goal because all these other pressures, family, every job, all of that stuff is always gonna be there, and there's always an opportunity cost. And so the last podcast episode that I put out on Friday with, Clifton Corbin, that one, we talked about, the opportunity cost of different things as social entrepreneurs. And so if you wanna hear more about that, you can, listen to that episode or watch it on YouTube. So yeah, so it's good to see folks. I can't tell if there are things in the chat in Instagram because for some reason it doesn't seem like there's anything there, but usually there are Instagram comments. So I'm just like, I'm not sure. But I see that Gabe's been here. Oh, the pup has woken up. And we've been chatting for about 10 minutes. So if anybody's on the feed and you have questions or you have thoughts about this, about taking action and what exactly is a strategy that could work for you, feel free to drop it in the chat and we can continue the conversation. And I think that, the other thing I wanted to talk about, which I had hold on, let me get my notes. I had written a note to myself the other day. Oh, yeah, yeah. I had 5 points that I sent out to my email list in an audio lesson about taking action. And I wanted to bring up a couple of them. I'm not gonna bring up all 5 because that'll take too long. But I wanted to think about, again, when you're working with this concept of ready, fire, aim, and you're not necessarily like all the way through an idea where you know exactly where you're gonna go, you know exactly what your vision is, you know exactly what you're gonna do, um, that there could be a couple of things that'll be helpful through the process to figure out what your priorities are, and that's what I wanna end with today. And, yay, Gabe, I love this, that you're working on taking more effective action. I think that that's important too because you wanna whatever actions you want to take, you wanna make sure that they work, right? You wanna make sure that they're there and they're, meaningful and they're getting you towards your goal and all of those things. So I appreciate that a lot. So the first part about it that I mentioned earlier, not knowing what your vision is, I see this a lot where people have an idea of their vision, but they need help working through all of the details of what that includes. And it's usually a process where you are asked a series of questions, and that's like what coaching is essentially. It's coaching you through that decision. And so if you're talking about more effective action, the questions that you could be asking yourself are, are the actions I'm taking in alignment with where I want to go or with my goal? Or with the steps that I am taking, which ones are most effective and successful in yielding the responses that I want or getting to the outcome I want? Or can I repeat this over and over again with success? So if you're talking about like a coaching program or something like that, can I do this over and over again with successful outcomes? Like there's a lot of questions that you could ask yourself and kinda coach yourself through the process of making sure that you're taking effective action. So, the first part about looking at all the options, it's about a series of questions that you're asked or you ask yourself to understand what your vision includes and what the options are for action. And so, from there, you kind of go into, well, what feels most in alignment with me right now? Like, what do I want? What is my instinct or what does my intuition tell me about how I can make, like, an impact going forward, or how can I move forward towards my vision? So, the gut check part and I think and if you do these in these 3 order, it's kinda helpful, but you can always do them in different orders. That's the second part. Then the third part is just taking the next logical step. So you don't have to think about doing all of the actions or getting to all of the goals but just getting to the next place that's gonna get you towards your goal. So if your goal is, really, like, dependent upon you taking effective action, then just getting to the next logical step will help you move forward, and you kinda just keep going from there step by step instead of biting off more than you can chew. So Gabe is saying, my strategies became more efficient and I will make my work processes easier to manage and deliver quicker video content production. And if you don't know, Gabe does amazing live streams. That's why he's a pro at the live stream situation. And I think it's interesting with Instagram. It goes back and forth between the big version and the small and the like punched in version of the feed. But anyway, so when you're taking the thinking about efficient, like, the efficient part, it's also how efficient can you get to the outcome? Because when you're talking about taking effective action, efficient and effective are different things, but they can be complementary, and so you want to think about them, I think, Gabe, in a way that it's becoming efficient and makes your processes better, but still is effective at reaching your outcome of, like, what are you doing with the live stream, or what are you doing with the coaching? Like, what is the outcome that you're trying to get to with these micro steps or these strategies that you're putting in place? And then as you work through the strategies, you realize that, you're able to get closer and closer to the vision of what you were trying to create. And so in that space, another thing that I advise people to do is to really celebrate, like to stop and recognize that you're in a different space. Like you've gotten to another place. And when you get to that other place, you have to adjust your strategies and your actions, or you might have to adjust even your goal or your how you're getting to the outcome. So even if you're being efficient and effective the whole time, when you get to a new space in your vision and it's time to really evaluate your outcomes, you're going to stop and think about, well, what do I need to invest more in? Like what really got me to my goal, and what do I need to not invest more in or divest from? And that really helps you be more efficient and effective as well, because you're looking at it in a space of reflection and saying, not only how did I get here, but also moving forward, what should I replicate in order to be successful? So we got super deep into the weeds, but mostly I love like when people are talking on the live feed and sending comments and so appreciate you, Gabe. And I think the last thing I wanted to mention today too is we talked about 3 of the 5 things in the audio lesson. There's more stuff in there. But the way that you do this process, when I said that the 3 things, the reason I do them in order, I look at all the options, then I do the gut check, and then I do the take the next logical step, is because if I just took the next logical step without weighing all my options or without checking in with myself, then it could mean that I'll make a choice that seems logical, but there might have been another better or even equally good solution that I could have put in place that I just didn't give a chance to because I didn't weigh all the options and I just made a logical step, right? And so the reason why I say in this particular order it's helpful is because at least if you look at all your options and then you do your gut check and you say, this is what my intuition tells me I should probably do. And then you say, okay, but what does logic tell me? You don't kind of let logic win over intuition. They at least have an equal footing. And in my world, that's important. So I don't know if people are used to working with your intuition, but it usually feels a little bit like it could sound logical to you. It could sound like a little voice, or it could just be something that seems like that seems like a better option than the others. Um, so that's what I recommend to folks, and I'm excited to share that with you tonight. And I think as we end, if there are any other questions about, what we go through in the idea surgery process, how this whole thing looks over 5 days live. We do lives exactly like this. I explain the concepts. We ask questions. We're in a Facebook group. It's a private group. And then we just talk about, what your situation is, whoever is in the workshop. And so I'm excited to, have anyone who wants to join, just join through my website, wendyveloz.com, and you can find the Idea to Action Accelerator on the homepage. And I'll link also in the events page as well. All right, everyone. Well, it's time for me to go and hang out with that cute doggy that was in here earlier. It's good to see everybody. Thank you for joining the feed, and hopefully we will see you guys in the workshop. Take care.